We want to talk about FedNow, right? That's the bottom line. What's going on with this FedNow thing? So Temenos, they've been around for a long time. This is no, flash in the pan, fly by night outfit. They've been around 23 years, longest continuous upgradable use of software in 23 years so far. Look how many clients they have, 1,080. Listen to this, guys. 41 of the top 50 banks run on Temenos. So should we pay more attention to this? I think we should. I think we should absolutely do that. We know that when it comes to Stellar, people just on the surface are going to talk about how Stellar is focused on the retail, right? So what's mentioned here is retail banking, business banking, corporate banking, all this stuff, right? I mean, all the good stuff. But what I want you guys to pay attention is this part right here.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Dixon Wallet. It's just a few taps. You can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Dixon wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
Back to what I talked about earlier, the Treasury, right? So we know that the Federal Reserve and the Treasury is kind of like Forrest Gump and Jenny. They go together like peas and carrots, right? So it states designed to meet the complete needs of a modern international treasury operation. Temenos Transact Treasury helps banks of all sizes reduce risk and improve profitability, basically while safeguarding regulatory compliance. That sounds pretty good. Covering front, middle, and back office on a single platform. So sort of read more. Let's do that. As I went here, look what's mentioned. Temenos Payments. Ensure scalability. Just like I mentioned the other day and many other days, got to have that scalability. I have that same user experience just as the next guy. These services need to meet those demands. So ensure scalability, compliance, and innovation with a payments, yes, that's right, payments ecosystem, providing next-gen payment processing. Kind of like how, you got to love how this is worded here, right? FedNow instant payments. You know where we're going with this. Here's a little bit that market view. Temenos ranked best-selling core banking system for 17 years. So they've been around for 23, but they're the best selling core banking system for 17 out of that 23. You don't think that's impressive? You better believe it. I like some of the things that are mentioned here. Okay, focus on the right side of your screen. New rails. We're always talking about Ripple with the payment rails. They literally, like, you hear Rosie Rios talk about we created the rails. The trains left the station, right? So how about this? Temenos, new rails, new options, new challenges drive payments transformation. According to the IDC, the financial services industry is undergoing significant evolution, and payments is playing a role in the changes. Rather than simply a line of business or an auxiliary function, payments have become a significant point of strategy. All right, so all this stuff sounds good, right? They have like this little demo about the payments and so on, and we're going to play this. And then we also have a segment from Denelle, and I'm telling you flat out, please smash that like. This is going to give you a broader perspective of, okay, now I understand how this is going to work with FedNow. You ain't going to understand it now, right? You got to have a little introduction. I'm going to break it down for you and so on. So smash that like. Let's play this for a second. We'll get into the rest of this outline. Here we go.
I'd almost take a step back and say, when we talk about Temenos, we talk about core banking. The core of banking is accounts and payments processing. So Temenos Payments has always been part of our DNA. Right from the start, when Temenos was founded, we were delivering payments processing. And we have thousands of banks around the world who rely on Temenos to process their payments. Be they credit transfers, cross-border payments, high value, low value, real-time, instant, bulk payments. We cover all of those. Every day, there are thousands of banks sending millions upon billions of payments transactions and processing them on Temenos software. And we provide that software both within our overall core platform, but also as a standalone. So Any payment service provider, bank can take our software and run it with their environment to manage their payment processing. We also deploy that on-premise, but in the cloud and as SaaS. All of that technology is built on top of the Temenos technology platform. So all of the investment that goes into our number one technology platform in banking is leveraged by our payments processing, ensuring the ability to handle huge volumes, scalable performance, as well as a huge variety of functionality and clearance around the world. So we are engaging more and more with institutions who just want to look at how they actually improve and modernize and elevate their payment capabilities. And so with Temenos, we want to talk to those customers about how we can elevate their capabilities and make them a leader in payments innovation.
Payments has always been part of Temenos DNA right from the start. When Temenos was founded, we were delivering payment processing, and we have thousands of banks around the world rely on Temenos to process their payments. So like basically is this, you see it referenced, and I'll show you guys this again right here, just in case you just tuned in. This comes straight from, FRB services. And again, from the Federal Reserve, right? Announcing organization certified as ready for the FedNow service. Participants that we know about clearly, right? But the key thing is, if we were talking about ACI Worldwide Corp with XRP yesterday with Ripple, we also talk about Finastra. Today is Temenos with Stellar, right? Now, here's the thing. Is it necessarily XLM? We're going to jump into why that matters too. Why Temenos payments, deliver quicker time to market for new payment product innovations. Basically speaking, it reduced cost and footprint for processing, ensure continuing compliance with ever-changing market regulations. I mean, all the things you think of like basically like, okay, this is what Ripple provides with XRP. This is what Stellar provides, right? Like I would be totally with you, right? This part right here, Temenos payments can empower your financial institutions to extend and enhance capabilities through a suite of powerful tools and frameworks, maximizing efficiencies and optimizing risk controls. I mean, again, been around for 23 years, and out of those 23 years, they've been killing it for apparently like 17 of those years. Sustainable payments processing innovation on the world's leading technology platform in banking. That sounds pretty cool. Temenos payments, progressive payment service innovators like BNPL, digital wallets, and request to pay, and quickly deployable to your institution through our payments innovation ecosystem. Real world challenges, right? I mean, all these things are good. Okay. So I want to jump to this part about the scalability real quick. It almost sounds like Ripple to a sense, right? We operate on a robust and scalable platform, providing your bank with, look at this, right? On-demand, elastic scalability for processing high transaction volumes. With low latency and frictionless processing, our flexible scaling ensures cost optimization by paying only for utilized resources and meeting market mandates within designated timeframes. Going further down into this, it talks about this thing about the functionality, just real quick. Their platform can support your financial institution with a wide range of payment functions. Think about this for a second. And I love this statement, including instant credit transfers, direct debits. Like, what is this really? Think about how this is worded. Standing orders, checks, and more. It serves domestic and international payments and offers configurable workflows, exception management, intelligent routing, comprehensive, and now, we mentioned some of this stuff. But, it's very, very impressive. 5 seconds to end-to-end journey, 24/7, right? Real-time, nonstop, 99% straight-through processing, 31% higher growth in payment volumes. And of course, they got all these other examples. Now, the next part I'm going to jump into on why you should, I don't know, I guess you could say, pay attention to this, because it specifically mentions this thing about the Treasury. And like I mentioned before, when it comes to the Federal Reserve, right, there's that, that whole connection of like the Treasury, they go together like peas and carrots. I'm going to keep saying that. So there's a lot that's mentioned here. And again, I'm not going to get into every single little thing. I'm just going to get to the key highlights. But I do like the idea about the scalability, like I mentioned before. I do like the idea that it includes advanced API-first technology, which empowers banks to rapidly innovate, connects to ecosystems, enables developers to build their own connectivity or apps. It's, if we talk about, like, for instance, quants over ledgers, blockchain agnostic, right? This is also like agnostic in which it doesn't necessarily have to connect to everything that's crypto related. It could do, for instance, like what FedNow was talking about, doesn't, not necessarily have to be tied into any blockchain technology, technically speaking, but there's options for it, right? So who is the option for that? That's the bottom line, right? And is it Stellar? Well, you better believe it, right? So with more than 400 Treasury implementations live across the world, Temenos, if I'm pronouncing that right, I think the other guy said Temenos, but whatever. Tomato, right? Transact Treasury is an ideal solution for banks of all types and sizes around the world. So this is doing it more than just what we got going over here in the United States, like, for instance, with FedNow. They got this thing about, Temenos Transact Treasury is an end-to-end real-time solution designed to help treasurers improve risk mitigation and time to market. Think about, like, all the things that we've been studying if you've been following this channel, and not just us. I mean, I give a shout out to all the guys, right? Anybody's been talking about what, guys? Time to market, right? We have been talking about time to market for the longest time. Optimize liquidity management, better service customers, and manage financial and operational risks. Some of the back office stuff, right? But what's consistently mentioned here is how they have things in which it's going to solve the whole treasury problem. Because if the Federal Reserve, and especially FedNow, is going to have this service, you better believe that it has to work with the whole treasury system. All right, so let's get into that whole part and the focus of that for a second. So treasury operations, look what's mentioned here. A complete deal processing solution from accounting, deal settlement, verification, and confirmation to, boom, there you go, if you haven't been following, Nostro. So was Ripple really exclusive to the whole thing of Nostro Vostro? I'm not funding Ripple, right? I'm a fan of it. Ripple's XRP. I own both. But at the same time, we will point out some of these things. So, confirmation to Nostro reconciliation that provides STP processing for all deal types. Not some deal types, all deal types. That's worth pointing out. At least I think so. So, how about this, guys? We're always talking about Swift for over a year at least, right? I've been with you guys. It's got this mention, seamless connectivity, out-of-the-box interfaces for connecting to industry data and dealing system providers, including Reuters, Bloomberg, and, yes, Swift, as well as configurable adapters for connecting to other third-party systems. I wonder what those other third-party systems could be, right? FedNow. Yeah, you better believe it. All right. So I went ahead and I downloaded their brochure. It says the primary reason we chose Temenos is that it offers us complete banking system solutions that have a built-in ability to grow with our bank and evolve to meet the future needs of our customers, according to Al College Bank. Efficiency through a complete solution in a single platform. The system provides full straight-through processing, STP, from deal capture, control and risk management to confirmation, matching, settlement, and accounting, together with a broad range of planning and analysis tools. Can I just mention this real quick? If we were going to talk about real-time gross settlements and so on, we're going to talk about finality and all these great things, right? Also understand that if this is going to be tied into, for instance, going from the Federal Reserve to the Treasury, and they both kind of work hand in hand together, not kind of, they do, you have to have a way, for instance, where you do have a mechanism that's going to have control and risk management and confirmation, matching, settlement, and accounting. Like, the U.S. government is all about keeping tabs on our bank books and stuff, right? We know that, you don't pay your taxes and stuff like that. What's the IRS going to do? Garnish your wages, are they not? So boom, there you go with that. Together with a broad range of planning and analysis tools, Transact Treasury provides a seamless and transparent flow of information to synchronize the banking and trading books with real-time. Think about what's mentioned here, real-time. If we're talking about FedNow, real-time payments, yes, real-time links to the market for instant and accurate data. All right, let me show you guys another thing real quick. So they have this thing of intraday liquidity management in the demanding world of instant payments. Again, sometimes I gotta slow it down a little bit. Treasurers, again, back to the Treasury, require ability to manage intraday liquidity in order to optimize the use of collateral and cash. What would be a service that's going to supposedly not only optimize, but make instant payments? Well, you get what I'm saying. Obviously, FedNow, right? There's a need, of course, for real-time systems to make this happen. And let's get to this part real quick. It mentions that in the past, Treasury divisions were also often focused on trading activities where they were run as profit centers and generate significant returns and could therefore afford to select their own systems. These were often standalone systems or multiple systems to fit any given asset class. Any given asset class, what are those assets? Could those assets be tied into digital assets? You see where I'm going with this? Prevailing cost pressures as well as demands of a changing regulatory landscape mean that treasurers need to glean efficiencies in all areas. This last part, real-time links to instant and accurate market data together with an impressive range of tools. Transact Treasury enables near instant access to insights across all our asset classes. This is going to be a key enabler for high-quality client services and accurate regulatory reporting. All right. Sounds good, right? Where's, again, some of the juicy stuff? Well, I swear we're going to get into some of that stuff, but if anything, I can't just give it to you and say, well, this is the reason instantly. It all has to come together, connect the dots. It's got to make sense. That's the bottom line. I think how this all comes together and gets done is through Stellar USDC. Now, some people are saying, well, that's not XLM, right? But you got to keep in mind that originally this key partnership is built on Stellar. All right, so that's worth noting. So what I want to show you guys here in regards to, I guess you could say, why we should pay attention to all this is this part right here. And basically speaking, step one, by leveraging USDC as a payment mechanism for MSBs, and if you're wondering what the heck does that mean? MSBs are money service businesses, basically. If you're wondering what that means, a money service business is a legal term used by financial regulators to describe businesses that transmit or convert money. Who is going to transmit and convert money? The FedNow, right? That's the whole point. All right. So getting more into this, it says paying into their existing remittance system and using a non-custodial payment gateway with a one-click integration solution makes this option fast and easy to implement with little risk. Isn't that the whole point of FedNow? Instant payments to be one click? Just think about it for a second. In particular, using USDC as a payment mechanism solves many real-world problems for what I gave you on the definition of MSBs. Here's an example. Chargebacks. They're growing at 20% per annum. At least this was, like a year or so, right? Might be a little bit higher, might be a little bit less. I didn't have a chance to check the stats on that. Forgive me. Talks about BP solution, but that's not the point. The focus should be Stellar's USDC. And that, of course, like it says, reduces chargebacks, rates, and fraud. Why would the U.S. government want to get involved with something that's not going to reduce that? They want something that's going to reduce that. Hence, the utility. Some people say there's no utility of stablecoins. Yes, there is. This is a perfect example. USDC payments are irreversible. Funds are immediately available, thereby assisting MSB's working capital utilization, improving their treasury efficiencies. In contrast, card payments are accredited by the processor up to 15 days following the transaction. That part is true. Some of you guys deal with this all the time, right? There's lower cost. USDC payment mechanism is cheaper than cards that average between 1.8 to 3.5%, give or take, right? It's a little bit different now. plus additional chargeback and fraud fees may be basically applicable. Our one-click integration into major money transfer systems, now here is some of the juicy stuff, already have thousands of clients. I won't get to the part about BP, but this part right here, new customers' ability to tap into different types of customers than MSB may typically service. One-click integration into Circle for the MSB to instantly. I know some guys don't like me saying that 3 times, but sometimes, you know what? People drift off on their concentration. I have to do it with my students in the class. I'm going to do it with you guys too. Shoot me if you don't like it. Anyway, no offense. To instantly receive digital funds. What are those digital funds? What platform is this going to be on? You get where I'm going with this? And here is the juicy part. Because we were talking about Temenos, were we not? And we also saw earlier that Temenos is a service provider. And he also had a partnership with Stellar, for instance. So integrate Temenos, opens, for instance, 1,600 banks and credit unions. And if you were wondering, I didn't see the part where it mentions Stellar and Temenos. It does. It mentions it right here. To the Stellar blockchain. Mic drop. Boom. Boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. Thank you so much to Stardog. I love this community that we have here. It's not just about me dropping the knowledge or the research. Say what you want. We are a community of what? Researchers. We're like a research coalition, if you will. I love it. Stellar partners are leveraging Stellar USDC. And here it is. This is good stuff. Only the Federal Reserve issues and controls supply of the US dollar, but all kinds of financial institutions, businesses, and individuals transact with the currency. Think about that for a moment. USDC is the first time we see a high-tier issuer in dollar digital currency fulfilling functions within a transparent regulatory framework. With the Center Consortium as its governing body, USDC has built up a trusted reputation, led to incredible adoption, growing from 3 billion in circulation at the end of 2020 to 15 billion in circulation today. It's actually higher. It's a little bit of old kind of an old thread, but it's great for the purposes of explaining this. Now, we have to talk briefly about a liquidity solution, because at the end of the day, if you don't have enough liquidity to cover this stuff, then why would the Federal Reserve, or I should say, why would FedNow want to get involved with Stellar, right? That's a great question. Well, we got covered. So now we got liquidity of this well-established dollar digital currency, on the Stellar network. What does that mean? Right, exactly. First and foremost, it enables new money flows. Think about this, guys. What are we going to experience? I hope some people really pay attention to this. I'm just being honest, right? And if you're not watching, listen to me on the live, I'm going to chop it up anyway. So maybe you don't want to listen. It's okay. But here's the thing, guys. This is a great statement, because what it means is that it does enable new money flows for their ecosystem. How so? Stellar USDC has interoperability with other Stellar assets representing world currencies. I am going to get into the part about why, for instance, this is great not just for FedNow. This is great for the European Union and so on, right? It says creating the ability for cross-currency transactions. USDC can be used to hold or onboard value to Stellar via anchors. And you guys are familiar with some of these anchors, like Wire. And maybe you're not familiar with this one, Stably. Maybe you're familiar with BitGo, but Wire, I definitely remember, right? Finclusive. A little bit more about this. And I know it seems like I'm reading a lot of this part verbatim, but these are things that's going to pound it home that much more for why I feel as though that Stellar is definitely going to be on FedNow. It's not just how they are implementing Stellar USDC, it's how they're using this digital currency. Look at this. This is juicy. To create opportunity and build products for other businesses. So we talk about workflows, we talk about incentives, we talk about staking, we talk about raising capital, all that stuff and how it's tied in. We're talking about the financial ecosystem of the world and how that is that constant moving gear in motion to create, entrepreneurs' livelihoods, if you will, or businesses to be able to thrive, right? On a collective body, not just here in the United States, but abroad. Wire, Stably, BitGo, and FinClusive feature a variety of financial services and infrastructure products. Wire offers, for instance, payment APIs. We understand that those weren't mentioned with FedNow, but it does get an honorable mention. I do like this part. Becoming Stellar's USDC anchors, they are also able to provide new and useful on and off ramps. And that is worth pointing out because you know what? We understand that a lot of this is going to be tied into a lot of this stuff, but it provides it through the network. Businesses on Stellar can use these anchors to tap into markets and gain more access points, right? Unprecedented speed, super low cost, digital global reach, world's global financial system, interoperable, basically, far less friction than ever seen before. Significant. Why Stellar USDC presents such a huge opportunity. This is literally the whipped cream and the cherry on top. Denelle, Dixon. Pay close attention in this 5-minute video of what she's saying. Draw your own conclusion about specifically what she mentions in this video and tie it into FedNow because I really think there's something solid here. Smash that like. Here we go.
This is our sole mission, is to make Stellar successful because we think that that success brings tremendous value to people all over the world. So we also serve as a voice to regulators and institutions so that we can help them understand not just Stellar, but blockchain technology so that they can see that if they don't allow that blockchain technology to flourish within their different regions, they're actually missing out on a huge opportunity for their constituents. So we are focused on just the growth, development, success of the Stellar network. And it's really exciting to see where we are today. Circle and the Center Consortium have been truly fantastic partners throughout this entire integration process. They had already put so much time and thought into developing their multi-chain framework for USDC, and that's shown through. And this focus on interoperability is really key. With a clear strategic vision, we were able to bring Stellar and USDC together, combining our strengths for the best of both worlds. It's a pretty remarkable partnership, and I'm just so excited to see it take off. On Stellar, anchors can issue any digital asset, and that includes stablecoins, and they can provide the on and off ramps for these assets to and from the Stellar network. So given USDC's strong position in the market and the important use cases, anchors are really eager to provide access to USDC and expand where it can go. The benefits, well, they're kind of limitless. Businesses can actually now send payments on international scale with unprecedented speed and costs. And businesses have access, and individuals have access to do the same thing with respect to remittances and payments that they want to make on a global basis. So the more anchors that support USDC, the more liquid and global USDC will become, and the world's financial system will just connect to a degree that we've never seen before. I often talk about the fact that while we recognize that there are borders that exist in the world and they're necessary, with respect to the access to financial products and financial systems, we don't need to see these kinds of borders. And this combination with Stellar and USDC creates this borderless access to the financial system, which I just love. People who want to exchange their native currency into another or vice versa can now do so quickly without paying high fees and doing it in just like unprecedented time. They would essentially revolutionize the way that people store and trade value. And we're going to see this happen. Circle has done the hard work and due diligence to make sure that USDC is the leading digital dollar stablecoin in the world. Having USDC on Stellar just already brings confidence and reputability to those looking to transact on the network. Businesses and developers can now leverage USDC's scale and liquidity to make efficient transactions on Stellar rails while benefiting from USDC's established brand and network of partners.
The utility through, for instance, USDC. Some people that feel as though stablecoins don't have utility. We just got through the whole darn thing about it. You better believe that through Stellar is all tied into a bigger picture of things. Bye.